Welcome to Survivor Sunday, where we celebrate strength, resilience, and hope. Each week, we will invite breast cancer champions to share their powerful journeys, allowing them to heal out loud so others won't have to suffer in silence. Every one of these stories is a testament to courage, faith, and the power of community. And we are here to amplify those voices. Now, today's guest is here to inspire, uplift, and embody the strength that comes from overcoming the toughest battles. As Psalm 107 says, let the redeemed of the Lord tell their story, so you won't want to miss this one. Now let's get ready to be empowered, because this is Survivor Sunday, where hope takes center stage. Hey guys, welcome to the channel of Survivor Sunday podcast. Now we have a wonderful guest here with us today, Ysabel Giacalone, and as always, I'm your host, Trey Battle, and I want to dive right in today and really get to hear this champion's story. So Ysabel, at the moment when you were first diagnosed with breast cancer, what was your initial reaction? And can you describe some of the emotions you experienced during the early stages of your diagnosis?
Yes, so when I first was diagnosed, I actually found a lump myself, and my mom kept saying, "You have to go get checked, you have to go get checked." And I kept saying, "No, mom, old people get cancer. I'm too young to get cancer." So that was totally an untrue statement. I did go and get checked out, and I was already a stage 3, which emotions were really high, where it was scary. My son was only 11 months old, so it was a scary time in my life.
Wow, so you were a fresh mother, your first time having a baby, 11 months old, less than a year, and then you find this lump on your breast, and I can imagine just the shock and all the emotions. So at that time, like, were you worried? Were you afraid? Like, what were some of the things that you were looking for during that time?
I was definitely afraid. It's a very scary time. The C word is basically a very scary word. And the first thing that I thought about was, what will happen to my child? What will happen to my family? So I needed to be strong, but at the same time, I needed to just be strong for my family. I needed not to let them know what I was actually feeling, but it was very, very, very scary.
I get that. I get that. So you're diagnosed with cancer. Um, I'm assuming you go schedule, well, but even before the diagnosis, you feel this lump and you have some thoughts, and I'm assuming you schedule a doctor's appointment. And so when you got that diagnosis, talk us through how that came out.
So, because I had just had my son, I actually went to my regular doctor and I said, "This is what's going on. This is what I feel." And he said, "Okay." Well, he did an exam. And then from there, he said, "Well, hold on a minute." He's like, "Let me bring the sonogram machine so we can look at it a little bit closer." And at that moment, I think that's when I realized that what he felt was concerning. So he needed to further look into it. So then after that, he did the sonogram and he said, "Well, it is a solid lump. So we should do further testing." So he left the room. He came back and handed me a piece of paper and said, "I need you to call first thing tomorrow morning and schedule an appointment with a surgeon so that they could do a biopsy." So that just escalated my fear to a whole nother level, because I was like, this could be the C word. I am now concerned, really concerned. The next morning I called. They actually made me come in that same day and had the biopsy. And the next day, I was at work and my phone rang, and it was my doctor, Dr. Exame, which I will never forget. And he basically told me that my results were back from my biopsy and I tested positive for cancer.
Oh, wow. So from, feeling the lump, it was 2 days later when you got the diagnosis?
And 2 days later, I was in the OR getting my tumor taken out.
Wow. So from the time you feel the lump to the time you're on the surgery table is 4 day period. But before then, it was 2 days before it was finally
Yes.
confirmed that it was cancer. That has to be, I mean, the most nerve wracking 48 hours. That I can't even imagine the waiting, just trying to figure out. So that's crazy. That's crazy. So you have the surgery, and obviously, well, not obviously. So you had the surgery, and was there some form of treatment thereafter, or like what was that recovery process like?
So once I had the surgery, the tumor goes to get checked. So once it gets checked, it comes back with if it's positive for cancer, and it was, and then what stage I am. So around my tumor, there was still cells that were cancerous. So then they had to go back and do a second surgery to make sure and clean up around the tumor area that all the walls were negative. And then after that, the doctor told me the type of treatment that I had to have, which I was very close to being a stage 4 at 24. And so a stage 3 required very vigorous and very extended treatment. So I did 8 sessions of chemotherapy and I did 26 sessions of radiology.
Gotcha.
And it was a hard time. I will never forget the orange IV bags that would sit above me going through my veins. And as soon as it would start entering my body, it was just awful. It was an awful feeling.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. So, and I understand the emotion that is, building up and reliving that moment. But you, like you give such a vivid picture of this orange bag of chemo that's going into your veins, right? But what was the most challenging part of the entire recovery process?
I think the most challenging part for me, that to this day I talk about it, but I because I think that that was the moment that I realized that I had to fight, that I had to keep going, that I couldn't give up, was my third chemotherapy. it it was like the third day after my chemo, because the first day it enters your body, but until it starts dissolving to all the different parts of your body, you don't start feeling, the effects until probably the day after. So it was my third chemo. I was staying at my mom's because she was helping with my son. And it had just been a hard day. And it was at night. And I was scared to go to sleep. I was scared to go to sleep because I thought that if I went to sleep, I might not wake up. So I remember my mom coming in the room, checking on me, and she said, "Is there anything that you need? Is there anything that I can bring you?" And I said, "Honestly, Mom, I just, I'm done. I don't want any more chemo. I don't want anything. I'm just done. Like, I, this is awful. What I'm feeling, the thoughts, everything, it's awful. I just don't want to continue anymore." So she said, "Hold on just a minute." So then she brought my son, she brought my son and put him next to me, and she said, "You can't give up. This is what you have to fight for." She says, "You have to keep going. And we as a family are here to support you, but you have to keep fighting. And, we will do whatever we can to help, but you have to keep going." So I think at that moment, I realized that I had to wake up every day and think of the good things that the day brought, not concentrate on the chemo, the feelings, the nausea, the all the bad stuff. So what I chose to concentrate on was it was a new day. I was still breathing. I was still giving another day. So I had to keep going. And every day to this day I wake up and think of three things what I'm grateful for this day.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. You said something when you were explaining that, and what really stood out to me was when you said, I was afraid to go to sleep because I didn't know if I would wake up. And immediately, what it reminded me of is that the bedtime prayer I learned as a kid, right? Now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. And then it says, if I should die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take. And it's so routine and it's rhythmic and it has a rhyme to it and we just say it out. But like that's a real fear that you had to hold on to. Like if I go to sleep and I don't wake up, like, will I be, with Jesus? And with that, I'm curious of how much of a role did your faith play in your healing journey?
Prayers like are everything to me. I the same growing up. My grandma was very religious, and she just taught me about prayers. And I believe prayers have a meaning to everything. And until you come across a certain circumstance that you can relate a prayer to and understand why the prayer is prayed that way. But to this day, it like I said, it just it's a reminder every day of what how precious life is, and how every day that you're given, you should make the best of it 100%, because we never know. We just could go to sleep and not wake up.
I love it. I love it. So, also, when you were giving that description, you were telling me about it. You said your mother brought your son in and said, "This is why you have to fight. We're here to support you, but the choice for you to continue has to be within you. So you have to make the decision to fight." And when you made that decision, outside of your mom and in that moment, what were like, who were the specific people or different support systems that helped you get through this breast cancer survivor or battling journey? And how much of an impact did they have on that, on your experience?
First and foremost, it was God. I prayed and I said, I am your child, and whatever you have chosen as my path is what I will accept, whether this is the final or I fight to continue. It is up to you, and from this day forward, I will accept whatever it is my path is that you have for me. And then my family and my friends, I mean, as soon as my friends found out what was going on, when you have chemo, you can't be around people because, people could be around other people that have germs and all of that. So my friends would tie balloons to my front door, leave, little cards in my mailbox, drop off stuffed animals, drop off flowers, drop off meals. I mean, they did everything that they could to just help, send me notes, call me, and it was just amazing how my family and my friends, and to this day, I thank them because I feel that the power of people being there for you and wanting to just, give you encouragement to keep going through your fight is helpful.
I love it. So what I hear when I hear you say that is like your journey goes in these like waves. It's the initial, oh my gosh, this could be the big C, to oh my goodness, this is the big C, to I'm on the operating table, to there's still maybe more, so I'm back on the operating table, and I'm taking chemo and I'm doing this radiation. And there are a lot of ups and downs, but even along that journey, there were points to where your mom came and said, like, you have to fight. And it gave you hope. It gave you strength. It gave you courage. Holding your newborn baby is, it's like, I have to do this for him. I have to survive. I have to get through this. And so you are explaining these situations or these moments, these little times, these little stamps on your timeline to where it helps you push through it. So we're all about community. And the big heart behind it is the community and providing that hope. And so if someone is watching this who may not have that support system that you had, right? Brene Brown talks about genuine social connection and the power of that genuine social connection. It states, I believe, in the CDC that breast cancer survivors who have genuine social connection increases their survival rate after surviving breast cancer by 50%, right? And so for people who are watching this, and this is going to be their form of community, what advice would you give someone who has just received that breast cancer diagnosis? What advice do you have for them?
The advice I have for that is don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to reach out. Accept, you know, any advice, accept people wanting to help you. Because I think that when we're going through what we're going through, we want to just kind of not be around people because we don't want to have to tell the story again, how it happened, how many days, what did you feel? But reach out to someone. There's a lot of programs through your hospital. There's a lot of social media breast cancer survivor groups that you can join for support, because I feel having support from anyone, family, friends, support groups, your doctor, speak to your oncologist, make sure that you tell your oncologist all your fears, all your thoughts, all your questions, because you are the advocate for your body. You are the advocate for yourself. So if there's any questions that you have, you need to make sure and ask so that you have better peace of mind.
So you were mentioning the Facebook groups, all the different support systems, even now with social media, so many people are going through this. And you, as an experienced champion and experienced survivor, right? What are some of the strategies that, I wouldn't even think about? What are some of the things that helped you physically, emotionally, or mentally, some of the tricks of the trade per se, as you were going through your recovery process?
Prayer definitely. Just every day I just prayed. I would just ask people to pray for me. I really feel that that's something, that prayer is so powerful, and that I don't think sometimes people understand the power of prayer. And for me, it was prayer. Just every day, stay positive, pray, and keep fighting. Surround yourself with things that matter to you, that can give you the extra push. For me, it was my son that I just wanted to be around him all the time to just remind me of, how I had to keep going. I wanted to see him grow up. I wanted to see him, you know, do great things in his life. I wanted to see him get married. I wanted to see him have kids. So he was a daily reminder of, my fight. And I had to keep going. Even on my worst days, I had to, again, just find the good in every day.
That's good. That's good. So I noticed that something that you can just fix your attention on was your son, and there are breast cancer ladies who are going through breast cancer, right now navigating that recovery, who maybe don't have that support system and don't have that son or that child to really galvanize them to keep fighting. And it may be for some of our viewers, maybe what you're saying is what they can go back to and say, all right, Ysabel said this and I'm going to fight. So with that, knowing the potential weight of your story, what role do you believe you sharing this story will have on helping others who are currently facing, breast cancer, who may be feeling lost, scared, unsure, or alone? Honestly, what role, what impact do you think this story can have?
I hope it has a big impact because no one should go through this alone. You should always try to find someone that you can speak to, that you can talk to about your fears, because I think it's important to know that you're not by yourself, that, there's other people that are going through it and that you'll get through it and that everything will be okay. So try to find someone that you can speak to, a family member, a friend, someone from a group. Just find people that you can surround yourself that will help you get through it.
I love it. So obviously you had a lot of people who are around you to help support you. And I'm curious, as in being a survivor now, was there any message of hope? Was there a quote? Was there a scripture? Was there words of wisdom from someone that really brought, clarity on, like, oh yeah, when I hear that, when I experience that, when I feel this, like, this is what helped me get through it. So is there a quote or something like that that you can share for people who are battling, the navigating breast cancer survivor now?
Philippians 4:13. I can do all things to Christ. Um, it was my favorite Bible verse growing up. It was my grandma's favorite Bible verse, and she's actually the one that would always tell me, refer to your Bible verse, refer to your Bible verse. You know that you can do anything to Christ, through Christ. And I feel that for me, that was something. And to this day, I continue to share it with other people that are going through it, and not just cancer, just in life in general. I feel that verse is very, very powerful. And that's what, I want to share with everyone is you can do anything through Christ.
It's interesting that you say that because as we've been talking about this, we've been talking about the first time you were diagnosed. And so the second time you were diagnosed, was that, what was different that second time around?
The second time around, I again found another lump myself. My mom taught me when I was growing up to do your self exams and how important they will be, in life. But again, I was young and never did I think. But the second time I found a lump again, and I called my doctor and I said, I found a lump again and it's back. And then he said, well, no, he said lumps sometimes can be. And I said, no, I I know it's back. So again, went to the doctor, had a biopsy, and um, the next day after my biopsy, the nurse called me and she said, "Oh, can you come to the clinic? We have, your results, and please make sure you bring someone with you." And I said, "You can just let me know now because I already know it's back." And she said, "Oh, we can just discuss all the results, when you get here." So I told my husband, I said, "We got to go. Come with me. I don't need anyone, but I already know it's positive." So here we go again. Just I know what to do, and we're going to go from there. So sure enough, when I got to the clinic, they, put us in a room, and the nurse was there, and she said the doctor will be right in. And as soon as the doctor walked in, he was like, "Well, I, just wanted to speak to you." And I said, "I can stop you now." I said, I know this must be a very hard um, result that you always have to give your patients, but I already know it's positive, and I just need to know what stage I'm at, and whatever it is we need to do, let's just do it. So this time, the second time, I was a stage 1, which was found very early. Um, so I already, knew that I had to cut my hair. I've always had long hair. I had to cut my hair. I had to shave my head so that I didn't have the feeling of seeing all the hair in my pillow again. So I did that and just went to my treatments. My treatment was very different the second time from my first time. So I already knew like the stuff that I needed to eat so that I would get nauseous. Um, I already knew like the second day after was the worst day, but then after that I would feel better. And this time I only had to do 4 treatments, which was good. And I did not have to have radiation because this time I chose to have a total mastectomy so that I didn't have to be back to another diagnosis 15 years later on a separate side.
I see, I can hear just the maturation of having to go through it the first time. The first time, when you talked about the diagnosis, it was you were afraid, you were scared, there was so much anxiety. The second time was, "Oh, you back? Yeah, I'm gonna take care of you. Let's go ahead and get the results. Yeah, we're not going through this again. Chop them off. I'm ready to do it." and and so when I use that word breast cancer champion, like that truly embodies it. That second go around, because you really owned it that second time around, and I just see and can hear that strength, that growth, and it's just so amazing. It's just so amazing. And if there's anything that
I did. I owned it and I was like, you know what, cancer, you have nothing on me the second time because I've already been here once, and if I need to be here the second time, bring it. But I already know what to do, so you don't have me. Like I have to keep going, and I already know what to do.
I love that. Love that. Boss lady, boss in cancer like that. So that's that courage that you have to have as you're battling breast cancer. In your first diagnosis, it was your mom telling you you had to fight, and you had to bring your son in, and it was these external, I guess, influences. But the second time, it was all internal, and I applaud you for that, and that strength and that courage and that determination that I beat you once, I'm going to beat you again. So kudos to you. Kudos to you. Well, guys, it's been amazing. I love that you shared your story. And if there was something in here that has inspired you to continue the fight, not to give up, to reach out and get those genuine social connections, I hope that Ysabel has inspired you to talk through the things that you're feeling. Don't keep it all bottled in, because that's only going to make it worse. And if you don't have breast cancer, or you have someone else who's affected by breast cancer in your life or in your family, it's one thing that I have heard Ysabel now say twice. She found those lumps herself. by examining herself. So don't just talk about it. Don't just say it. Do it. It's important. And as you can see, in doing so can really save your life. So Ysabel, I appreciate your courage and your willingness to share your story. And I just hope that this is an inspiration for people. So if people want to reach out or want to, I guess, know some of those strategies from you firsthand, like how can people get in contact with you?
I'm on Facebook, Ysabel Giacalone. You can definitely send me a message. I am really open. I like to talk to other people that are going through, just to be there for someone that may be scared, because the word cancer is scary. And sometimes I feel like people just don't know what to do. You can send me a message and I'd, be happy to speak to you or talk to you about what it is that you're going through. What is, what is the fear? How can I help? How can I give you that extra courage to keep going, to just keep fighting, and face it. Just, you've got to just face it and keep going.
I love it. So Facebook, Ysabel Giacalone. We'll make sure to put a link in the description because I don't know many people who know how to spell Giacalone. Okay. So again, I appreciate your time. I appreciate your story. I love your courage. And so guys, that's the podcast, Survivor Sunday. Stay tuned. Make sure you like and subscribe and even give it a thumbs up to help the analytics. So we will be releasing these every Sunday. As you know, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So stay tuned for more stories and more impact. And let's grow this community. And let's continue to hear these examples of survivors who are healing out loud so that you and your loved ones don't have to suffer in silence. See you next episode.